Today I am going to give a Dhamma talk on Sunlun Vipassana meditation method. This Sunlun Vipassana meditation method was founded by the late Arahanta Sunlun Guchang Searo Ukavi of Nyenjan. I will at first explain a short biography of Sunlun Searoji and then explain the Sunlun meditation method. Sunlun Searoji was born in 1878 at a small village called Sunlun near Nyenjan. At the age of 40, he was afraid to die, and so he tried to find Dhamma to have a refuge. So one day, he happened to listen to the Dhamma talk given by Ubasan about Anapana meditation method. When he heard the word Anapana, his mind became agitated and goose flesh appeared on his skin. So he thought, it is strange that when I hear the word Anapana, my mind become agitated and goose flesh appear on my flesh. Maybe if I practice this method, I can know the Dhamma. So he went and asked Ubasan how to meditate Anapana meditation. Ubasan said, you have to be mindful on breathing in and breathing out. That is Anapana meditation. So he went to a quiet place and start to breathe with great mindfulness. At first, when he started to breathe, he was reciting in, out, But after some time, he was able to know the air touching the tip of the nose, and he was mindful on that touch. So after about half an hour of breathing, he got the rhythm of mindful on the breathing in and breathing out. So he breathed continuously for many hours. After 3 or 4 days of meditation, one day, while he was breathing with great mindfulness, one shining object appeared in front of him. When he put his mindfulness on that shining object, it rise. So he tried to follow that shining object, and it rose into the sky up to the celestial being, and he saw many Devata and Devata buildings. So he was very glad. Because of this meditation, if I pass away, I will be reborn in the Devata world. So he was not afraid to die anymore. So he practiced breathing with great mindfulness. But next day, due to good heavy breathing, when it's time to stop, there arises a very painful sensation. He don't know what to do. But in his mind, one idea appeared. Whatever happening in your body, it is Dhamma. So he tried to mindful on that sensation. He put his mind 100% on that sensation, and that his mindfulness sink or penetrate into the sensation, and he was able to mindful and follow that sensation from the beginning until it ends. It takes about more than 1 hour to follow the sensation, and at one time that sensation completely ends. When it ends, he was very surprised that he has a peaceful and contented mind. So from that day, he breathed with great mindfulness and follow the sensation with great mindfulness until it ends. So every day, day and night, with full of diligent, great mindfulness, he practiced this method of breathing and mindful on the sensation. In English calendar in 1920, in Myanmar calendar, the month of Wazo, 13th waning day of Wazo, at night 10 p.m. he attained the first stage, that is Sotapatti Mega. He continued to meditate and the second month, on the 13th waning day of Wagao, at 10 p.m. he attained the second stage. He got the Sagadagami Mega. He continued to meditate, and next month, 13th waning day of Todalin, at 10 p.m. he attained the third stage. After becoming a Nagan, he don't want to live as a layman life. So he became a Samanera, novice, and as a novice Samanera, he continued to practice day and night with great mindfulness. So on the 13th waning day of the Dinjot, at night 10 p.m., it will be the month of October in English calendar. At 10 p.m., he attained the fourth stage. He got the Arhata Mega. He became an Arahanta, the noble one. So he showed this method, Sunlun Vipassana meditation method, after he attained the Arhata Mega. He became an Arahanta. Sunlun Sayadaw was well known as Arahanta, so many people, some monks and laymen, try to test him whether he is truly Arahant or not. Many learned monks, such as Maitila Yele Sayadaw, Nyaunun Sayadaw, Pepe Sayadaw, ask very difficult, delicate question from the Pitaka Pali. Sunlun Sayadaw was able to answer all the questions correctly. Sunlun Sayadaw checked with the Pali text for 2 days and found that all the answers given by Sunlun Sayadaw were correct. That is how many learned monks try to test Sunlun Sayadaw whether he is truly Arahant or not. Some lay people also test Sunlun Sayadaw. While Sunlun Sayadaw was staying in Methila, one day in the morning when he was going for the food with a black bull in his hand, he saw one horse rider riding with a great speed toward him. With his power as an Arahant, he knew that the horse rider wanted to run him down with the horse. So he sent his loving kindness to the horse. When it came near, however the rider beat the horse doesn't move forward. It stood still on the full leg. Sunlun Sayadaw retold this incident to his assistant monk. At that time, I have to send my loving kindness, metta, to the horse because the rider was drunk with alcohol. That's why he had to send his loving kindness to the horse. That is how many people tested him whether he is truly Arahant or not. I would like to relate my personal experience with Sunlun Sayadaw. When I was 6 years old, I was living in Yangon near the Chautachi Pagoda. In the afternoon, about 2 p.m., now when I check with the Sunlun Sayadaw biography, I know that that day was 1952, March 28. At about 2 p.m., some worker in our compound came and informed my mother and grandmother. There is one Arahant standing in the sun. So my mother, grandmother called out everybody from the house, and when we went out and looked at the sun, I saw one Arahant with a black bull on his side standing in the sun, and the sun is shaking like that behind him. At that time, we can just look at the sun and stare at it. For ordinary time, we cannot look at the sun even when it was about to set. But at that time, we can just look at the sun and stare at it, and I saw one Arahant standing in the sun. My mother, grandmother said, that is Arahant with his power standing in the sun. You bow down and pay respect and make a wish. So I bow down many times and pay respect. But I don't know what to wish. When I look at my grandmother and mother, they are making many wishes. But I was only 6 years old. I don't know what to wish. But I was very happy to see the miracle. But after some time, I went and played, and then remember, I came back and looked at the sun. It's still there. If I think about it, I can still visualize that image now. So it lasts for about 2 hours. Only in about 4 p.m., the image in the sun disappeared. At that time, we didn't know which Arahant was that. But when I became a monk, after 4 or 5 years as a monk, I went to Yinjan to pay respect to the Sunlun Sayadaw body and become friendly with his assistant monk. His assistant monk has some eye problem, so I invited him to Yangon and show him with the eye specialist. When he recovered, one day I have a talk with him. His name is Sayadaw Usobana. Well, Sunlun Sayadaw passed away when I was very young, so I didn't have a chance to meet Sunlun Sayadaw face to face. But when I was young, about 6 years old, I saw one Arahant standing in the sun. So when I told him that, Sayadaw Usobana said, that is Sunlun Sayadaw. Because at that time, he and Sunlun Sayadaw was invited to Yangon because they had to attend the Sima demarcation ceremony in Yangon at the South Oklahoma. There is another Sunlun center in South Oklahoma. They came here and stayed for 7 days in Yangon. After the ceremony, before they went back, they had to stay one night at Sasanayeta. Next day, the layman disciple sent them by plane to Methila, and from Methila they have to go back to Mienjai by car. On the way, at the small town called Malayan, they have lunch there. Sonon Seroji and Sierra Usobana have lunch there at one layman house. After lunch, Sonon Seroji gave a Dhamma talk, and after giving a Dhamma talk, Seroji recited Parita. Seroji was well known as Arahant, so many people come and put water bottle in front of them to get the Parita water. So when Sonon Seroji recited Parita, Sonon Seroji image with his black bowl on his side standing in the sun. The image appeared in the sun. The standing image of Sonon Seroji appeared in the sun as well as in the water bottle of the owner of the house who offered lunch. In the evening, when Sonon Seroji returned, continued his journey to Mienjan, the image in the sun disappeared. But the image in the water bottle still remains. So many people came to pay respect to the image in the water bottle. So the owner of the house had to build a temporary building so that all the people can have place to come and pay respect. The image in the water bottle only disappeared when Sunlun Seroji passed away. Another 1.5 month time, Sunlun Seroji passed away. When Sunlun Seroji passed away, the image in the water bottle disappeared. Sunlun Seroji knew that after another 1.5 month time, he will pass away, so he bid farewell with his power by standing in the sun. I was very lucky enough to see the miracle in Yangon. It is about 400 miles away from him. That is how I have the personal experience of Sunlun Seroji. So Sunlun Seroji, as an Arahant, he showed this Sunlun Vipassana meditation. You have to be, when you breathe, you have to try to be mindful on the air touching the tip of the nose. He gives the instruction, whatever you do, you try to be mindful on the touch. Sunlun Vipassana meditation method, we have to practice in all full position or posture. Walking, standing, sitting, lying down. In all full posture, we have to be mindful on whatever we do. So, I will at first explain about Sunlun Vipassana meditation method in the sitting posture. In the sitting posture, there are two parts. The first part is Anapana. Try to be mindful on the breathing in and breathing out. The second part is mindful on the sensation. So when you are going to sit and meditate, before you sit down and meditate, you pay respect to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha and pray and say parigan. And then you sit down. You sit in a position that you can sit for at least 2 hours. The best position is sitting cross-legged. The female yogi can also sit cross-legged. But when you sit cross-legged tightly. Don't sit loosely. Don't sit loosely because you are afraid of the pain or painful sensation. You sit tightly so that when the painful sensation arises, you can be mindful on that sensation without moving your leg or arm or changing position, and try to be mindful on the sensation continuously until it ends. That's why we have to sit tightly. Put your right hand in the left palm with 2 arms at your side. Let you bow down a little bit your head. Don't lift your head like that or bow down it like that. just a little incline downward, and you start to breathe with great mindfulness. So when you sit on a thin mat or a thin towel. Don't sit on a very high cushion or foam to avoid the painful sensation, because we meditate to realize the truth of suffering. By sitting on a high foam, on a cushion, you are trying to avoid the painful sensation, so you will not know the truth of suffering, and you will not know the Dhamma easily and quickly. That's why sit on a thin mat or a thin towel. Sit tightly, and then you try to be mindful on the touch. When you breathe, the air will touch the tip of the nose, and when you are mindful, you will be aware of the air touching the tip of the nose. You have to be mindful on that awareness of touch. You breathe continuously for at least 45 to 1 hour to get the concrete concentration. In the breathing session, Sunlun Sayadaw set one important rule. Don't stop when you get tired. So if we stop whenever we get tired, then we will not get the samadhi quickly, and our progress in meditation will be very slow. That's why we have to be mindful on the tip of the nose and try to be mindful on every touch of the air touching the tip of the nose. You don't need to follow in or out, just mindful on the point of touch. Here we encourage the yogi to breathe short, rapid breathing. If we breathe slowly, softly, the time gap between one touch and another is great, so our mind like to go out or go to thinking, or you will like to feel sleepy. To avoid those things, we encourage the yogi to breathe short, rapid breathing. If you breathe short, rapid breathing, the time gap between one touch and another is very small, so the mind doesn't have time to go out. So you get concentration, samadhi quickly. And another one, important one is, how strong should we breathe? That is what every yogi like to know. And most of the other people know that Sunlun meditation method, you have to breathe very strong, very hard. That is not correct. The correct one, the most important one, is to be mindful on the air touching the tip of the nose, to know the touch. If you breathe very strongly and doesn't know the touch, then that is not the correct way. If you breathe very softly and doesn't know the touch, then that is also not the correct way. The correct way is to be mindful on every touch of the air at the tip of the nose. Only when you are mindful on the air touching the tip of the nose, then you are practicing vipassana. Vipassana means mind over matter. Air is matter, nose is matter. Two matter touching. With mindfulness, you will be aware of the air touching the tip of the nose. You have to be mindful on that awareness of touch. The motto or short instruction of Sunlun Sayadaw is touch, awareness and mindfulness. So you have to be mindful on every touch. That is, if you know that breathe the whole session and know the touch, then you will get the complete, concrete concentration. So we have to breathe with great mindfulness. Sunlun Sayadaw said, don't stop when you get tired. Why do we get tired? We get tired because our breathing in and breathing out, inhalation and exhalation is not balanced. That's why we get tired. Everybody breathing out is stronger than breathing in. That is why after some time of breathing, because the breathing out is stronger, as you breathe, there will be less air in your lung and you will get tired. So, whenever you stop, you get tired. Whenever you get tired, you stop, then you will not get enough concentration, samadhi, to be able to mindful on the sensation. So your progress in meditation will be very slow. That's why we need to breathe continuously. So how will we overcome the tiredness? You breathe much stronger in breathing than out breathing. For about 15 or 20 times, breathe with great mindfulness, strong in breathing and strong breathing out. The breathing in should be a little bit stronger than the breathing in. After 15 or 20 minutes of stronger breathing in, when the breathing in and breathing out are balanced, then the tiredness will go away and you can breathe continuously for the whole session. You should breathe at least 45 to 1 hour to get concrete concentration. That's why try to be mindful on every touch and breathe continuously. And while you're breathing, when you get tired, don't stop. Breathe with great mindfulness of in breathing, much stronger in breathing than the out breathing, much stronger breathing in and then breathing out. So when the breathing in and breathing out are balanced, the tiredness will go away and you don't need to stop while breathing. You can breathe continuously for the whole session. Before you stop breathing, try to be mindful on the touch. Put your mind 100% at the tip of the nose and breathe strongly for 50 to 100 times. You breathe like that. When you breathe, don't shake your body, don't shake your head, just breathe with your nose. When it was about to stop breathing, breathe continuously for 50 or 100 times. Then take a deep breath. Hold your breath and with your mind, watch the whole body. The mind will automatically go to the most distinct sensation, the most pronounced sensation. Sensation may be anything, pain, numbness, itchiness, cramp, heat or cold, any sensation. You try to be mindful on that sensation. For example, if there is pain in your knee, when you stop breathing and mindful on the sensation, the painful sensation in the knee, try to be mindful on that painful sensation. You don't need to recite pain. Just try to be mindful on that sensation. At first, your mindfulness will be just on top of the sensation and you will know that your knee is in pain. So Sunlun Sayadaw said one important rule in the second session on mindful on the sensation. That is, if cramp, don't move. Whether it is cramp or pain or anything, don't move or don't change position. Just mindful on the sensation as it is. When you stay still and mindful on the sensation, your mindfulness will sink into the sensation or your mindfulness will grab hold of the sensation. Then you will only know the sensation as it is. You won't know that your knee is in pain. You will only know the sensation as it is. So you stay still and mindful on that sensation. We should not move or change position because what the Buddha said is the truth of suffering is covered by the changing of the position. So whenever the painful sensation arises, we change position. If we change position, we try to cover the truth of suffering by changing the position. That's why Sunlun Sayadaw said, stay still, don't move, don't change position, just mindful on the sensation as it is. When you're mindful on the sensation, you know this sensation because all the cells of your body are rising and falling. It is happening, building up, breaking down. When you know the building up, breaking down, that is Kaya Anupassana. The full steadfast mindfulness you are practicing, that is Kaya Anupassana. When you know the sensation, it is Vedana Anupassana. When you know the bare fact of knowing of the sensation, then you are practicing Citta Anupassana. When you know that this sensation is unstable, it is just building up, breaking down. When you know the phenomenon of impermanence, that is, you are practicing Dhammanupassana. All four Satipatthana are happening at once, simultaneously. But the more distinct one, we call it, if the sensation is more distinct, we call it Vedananupasana. But the Kanupasana, Saitanupasana and Dhammanupasana also happen simultaneously. But we name it with the most distinct one. So as you mindful on the sensation, you will be just knowing the sensation as it is. Then you will be practicing Vipassana and you will be practicing the full Satipatthana. What the Gautama Buddha said is, the full Satipatthana, the practice of full Satipatthana is the one and only way to reach Nibbana. So when you practice Satipatthana and try to get the Mega Jnana, you have to go through 10 mind level called 10 insight knowledge level. We call in Myanmar, it is called Nyansin. In nearest English, it is insight knowledge level, 10 insight knowledge level. When we mindful on the touch while breathing, mindful on the sensation, that is the first insight knowledge level, we call it Samasana Jnana, the cause Jnana, what every yogi have to do. The remaining 9 jnana from Udyabhya to Anuloma is an effect jnana. What the yogi have to do is the first Samasana jnana, cause jnana, try to be mindful on the touch while breathing and mindful on the sensation while in the second part. When you're mindful on the sensation, then you are practicing the Samasana jnana. If you practice the full Satipatthana, full steadfast mindfulness, and you finish the 10 insight knowledge level from Samasana jnana to Anuloma jnana, then you will get the first stage called Sotapatti Mega. Then you start to practice from the Samasana jnana. When all the 10 mind level of insight knowledge level are finished, then you will get the second stage called Sakadagami Mega. Then you practice from the first beginning Samasana jnana and finish the 10 level, then you will get the third stage called Anagami Mega. And then you practice from the Samasana jnana to Anuloma jnana and finish all the 10 inside knowledge level of Vipassana, then you will get the fourth stage called Arattabhang jnana. Sunlun Sayadaw practiced like that with great mindfulness, the full Satipatthana, and 1 month, 1 Mega jnana, and after 4 months time, he attained the fourth stage, Aratta Mega, and became the Aranda. That is how he practiced his method. So, every yogi should be mindful on the sensation. Don't move, don't change position, and try to be mindful on that sensation from the beginning of that sensation until it ends. Because if you can follow that sensation, the sequence of sensation from the beginning until it ends, at the end of the Mega, at the end of the sensation, if you have parami, and if it is a right time, you will get the Mega jnana. That's why we have to follow with great mindfulness from the beginning until that one sequence of sensation ends. So, when you're mindful on the sensation as you sit still, don't change position, and with great mindfulness, you're mindful on the sensation, that is Samasana jnana. As you stay still and mindful, your mindfulness will sink into the sensation, and you will know that this sensation is not stable. It is rising, falling, rising, falling, rising, falling. The knowledge of this rising, falling is the second insight knowledge level, we call it Udyabhya jnana. Your mind level rises to the second one called Udyabhya jnana. As you mindful on that sensation without changing position, staying still mentally and physically, and mindful on the sensation continuously, you will know that these cells, your body cells, building up and breaking down is more distinct. You know and understand the breaking down more distinct, then your mind level will rise to another jnana level called Bhanga jnana. When you stay still and mindful on the sensation, you will know that your whole body, all the cells are always changing, always changing. If the sensation becomes very painful, You want this painful sensation to go away quickly. That painful sensation go away quickly or not, it depends on itself. We cannot control it. That is anatta, soullessness anatta. Between impermanent anicca and soullessness anatta, this body is full of suffering. That is dukkha. As you're mindful on the sensation, you will know that this body, mind and body, is unreliable, undependable, always building up, breaking down, building up, breaking down. So you become afraid of this body and mind. When you're afraid of the body and mind, then your mind level rises to another jnana level called bhaya jnana. You have to stay still and mindful on that sensation, so your mind level will rise to bhaya jnana. You become afraid of your body and mind. As you're mindful on the sensation, you will know that this body is impermanent, full of suffering and soullessness. We cannot control it. You will start to know the defects, the faults and defects of your body and mind. When you realize and understand the fault and defects of your body and mind, the five khandha, then your mind rises to another level called adinava jnana. You begin to understand the faults and defects of your body and mind. As you mindful on the sensation, your mindfulness will rise to another one. Because you know that this five khandha of your body and mind are full of faults and defects, you become disgusted. You become fed up of this mind and body. That knowledge of fed up and disgusted is your mind level rise to adinava jnana. And your mind left to from nibbina jnana. You become fed up and disgusted. You don't want this. You don't want this mind and body anymore. So, as you mindful on the sensation continuously, you want to get out of this mind and body, because this mind and body, the five khandha, are continuously building up, breaking down, building up, breaking down, and full of suffering, and we cannot control it. Anatta, soullessness. So we want to get out of this mind and body. That knowledge of want to getting out of the mind and body is called Maungseitu Kamyata Jnana. In the literature, it gives the example of a small bird staying in a ship that is sailing in the great ocean. The small bird doesn't want to stay in the ocean, it wants to fly to the land, and it tried to fly. But the land is very far, so he had to come back to the ship that he had been staying. Just like that, the yogi like to get out of this mind and body from the five khandha, but his concentration is not strong enough, his vipassana is not strong enough, so he had to be mindful, continue to be mindful on the sensation. That is called patisengha jnana. And you stay still without changing position, stay still and mindful on the sensation. Sunlun Sayadaw said, however painful may be, don't change position. Because if we change position, your rising of the mind level is disturbed and your mind, you have to start from the beginning. That's why to let your mind level, inside knowledge level rises, you have to stay still and mindful on the sensation continuously. If you mindful on the sensation with great mindfulness, then your mind level will reach to the ninth jnana level called Sankharupeka jnana. Only when you reach to the Sankharupeka jnana, then you have concentration strong enough to be mindful on a painful sensation. However painful the sensation may be, you can withstand it and mindful on the sensation without moving, without changing position. If the sensation is very faint, you can be mindful on that faint sensation. So it is you have to practice very diligently with great mindfulness to reach Sankharupeka jnana. Before reaching Sankarupaka Jnana, from the second Udyabhaya Jnana to the Pratisanka Jnana, you have to fight with your own mind. When you sit for a long time, when the painful sensation arises, one part of your mind like to stop meditation, like to change position. The other part said, no, I must stay still, not change position. Sunlun Sayadaw said, don't move, however painful may be. I have to stay still and meditate until the bell rings. So you have to fight with your own mind. Only with great effort, great mindfulness, you can reach to the Sankarupaka Jnana. As you stay still and mindful on the sensation, then your mind level will rise to the 10th level called Anuloma Jnana. Anuloma Jnana means the lower Jnana and the higher Mega Jnana that is adaptable, that Anuloma Jnana is. As you stay still and continue to meditate, after you completely finish the 10 mind level, you will get the Sotapatti Mega. That's why we need to follow the sensation with great mindfulness, without changing position, without moving our leg or arm or any part of our body, and mindful continuously on the sensation. As you mindful on it, your mind level will rise like that. And you have to follow the sequence, one sequence of sensation from the beginning until it ends. Because when you can follow the sensation from the beginning until it ends, at the end of the sensation, if you are lucky, you will complete the 10 mind level and get the Sotapatti Mega. That's why we have to sit still and mindful on the sensation continuously. We sit still not to let the yogis suffer pain, but to follow that sensation until it ends, so that if we have parami and if it is a correct time, we can get the Mega Jnana. That is how Sunlun Sayadaw practiced this mindfulness meditation, and within 4 months' time, he became the Arahant. So the most important thing is to be mindful on the sensation. The sensation has two kinds. We call it sensation, in Pali we call it Vedana. Kaika Vedana means body pain, and Cetasika means mental pain, mental sensation. Kaika Vedana means what is happening in your body, what the painful sensation in your body, that is Kaika Vedana. When Kaika Vedana comes, you mindful on that sensation on your body. Sometimes the Cetasika Vedana also comes, the mental sensation comes. There may be happy moment, sad moment, or dreaming moment. Whatever it comes in your mind, we have to be mindful. So our mind are polluted with greed, hatred, delusion, lobha, dosa, moha. Everybody in this life and previous existence, every happy moment, sad moment, all the attachment things are attached in our mind. It's just like stamp in our mind. Vipassana meditation is cleaning of the mind. It cleans out the mind of the impurities of greed, hatred, delusion, lobha, dosa, moha. Sunlun Sayadaw gave the example of the needle in the gramophone. When the needle of the gramophone touches the gramophone disc, all the recorded things in the disc come up. So also, the needle of the Vipassana, when touches the gramophone disc of the mind, all the happy moment, the sad moment, impressed, attached in our mind are all cleaned up. As you mindful on that Cetasika Vedana, slowly the Cetasika Vedana will go down, and you'll have a happy, contented mind. And that is how to follow the Kaika Vedana and Cetasika Vedana. Whatever comes, you have to be mindful on that sensation. Sunlun Sayadaw said, whatever you do, you try to be mindful. Touch, awareness and mindfulness. You have to do whatever you do with great mindfulness. When you eat with mindfulness. When you walk with mindfulness. When you stand with mindfulness. When you sit with mindfulness. and when you sleep, you eat, you sleep with mindfulness. That is the instruction of the Sunlun theology. How do we mindful when we eat? Mindful of your hand going to the food, taking the food, taking it into your mouth, putting it into your mouth, chewing it, swallowing it. Whatever you do, you try to be mindful on every present moment. That is how we mindful on eating position. How do we mindful on the walking position? We try to be mindful on the feet touching the ground or the floor. Any point of contact, we try to be mindful. On each step, we have to be mindful. When you are mindful on every step, then you are mindful on the walking position. In the standing position, when you stand, you are mindful on the feet touching the ground or the floor. After some time, there will be stiffness, numbness, pain in your leg, then mindful on that sensation. That is how we mindful on the standing position. In the sitting position, when you sit, you try to be mindful on your buttock touching the floor or your leg touching the floor, mindful on that touch. After some time, there will be sensation arising in your body and be mindful on that sensation. That is how to be mindful in the sitting position. In the sleeping position, lying down position, when you sleep, just don't fall asleep. When you sleep and lie down, with your mind watch the whole body. Your mind will go automatically to one sensation. Try to be mindful on that sensation. After some time, when the sensation subsides, you will fall asleep. And when you wake up, before you are fully awake, you can be mindful on the sensation in your body. Only when you are sound asleep, you cannot be mindful. But as soon as you wake up, you can be mindful on the sensation in your body. That is how to be mindful in the sleeping position. So, you have to be mindful on whatever you do at all time. Only you cannot be mindful when you are fully asleep. With the practice of mindfulness on every moment of your life, day and night, that practice of mindfulness is a great weapon for us. Weapon for what? When we face the death, the time of death, it is a great weapon for us. Because when we are about to die, at the point of death, the Buddha said, the death is suffering, so the painful sensation will come. At that time, we cannot move our leg or arm or our body. So at that point of death, in the time of death, what will you do? Where will your mind be? If you can remember your dana, sila, samatha, it is quite okay. But when the sensation arises, when the sensation is great, you cannot be mindful on the dana or sila or samatha. Your mind will go to mostly where it does go. It goes. Where does it go? It goes to your loving one, your husband, your wife, your children, your house, your car. These are attachments. When at the point of death, and these attachments come, due to greed, you will be born as a ghost. If at the point of death, if there is anger, you will go to hell. And if the point of death, there is delusion, ignorance, then you will become an animal. So everybody have to die. So at the point of death, when you have the practice of mindful on the sensation, at the point of death, the sensation will arise. So you can be mindful on that sensation. When you are mindful on that sensation, you are practicing vipassana. Why? You are knowing the sensation rising, falling, rising, falling, rising, falling. That is called kayanupassana. When you know the sensation, is vedananupassana. As you mindful on the sensation, you are practicing the full satipatthana. That is mind over matter, and you are practicing vipassana. When you are practicing vipassana, when you are practicing the full satipatthana, your mind level will be rising, rising, rising. So at the point of death, at the time of death, when you are just mindful on the sensation, if you are lucky, if it is at the end of the 10th jnana level, then you will get the Sotapatti Mega. That is why it is important to be mindful on the sensation. It is a great benefit, the weapon to face death. So, if we can mindful at the point of death on the sensation, we can get Mega Jnana. Even if we do not get Mega Jnana, because we are practicing Vipassana. Vipassana is cleaning out of them all the impurities from the mind. So at the point of death, your mind is clean from greed, hatred, delusion. And Vipassana is the most powerful merit of all. So your mind is clean from greed, hatred, delusion, and you are practicing the most powerful merit of all. So when you pass away, you either become a human being or you can be reborn in the Devata world. That is why this mindful on the sensation is the most reliable weapon at the point of death. We need to be mindful on every touch, or mindful on your mind and body, mindful on the sensation. So when you're mindful on the sensation, you close your eye, you are not looking at any other thing. You close your ear also, you are not listening to any sound, you are not smelling to any smell, you are not eating anything, your body is still still and your mind is on the sensation. So the eye do, the ear do, the nose do, the mouth do, the body do, and the mind do, all 6 doors are closed with mindfulness. So in Pali it is called Sakondre, Totindre, Ghanindre, Zivindre, Kayindre, Manindre. That 6 door close is called Indriya Samvara Sila. That Sila is directly give effect to the Mega Jnana. You can only get the Indriya Samvara Sila by practicing meditation. So when you practice Vipassana mindful on the sensation, you will be practicing Indriya Samvara Sila. Sila means nearest, equal to the English term is morality. Sila. When you're mindful on the sensation, your mind is stable. You have a concentrated mind. That is called Samadhi. When you're mindful on the sensation, you will know that this sensation is rising and falling, rising and falling, rising and falling. You will know the law of impermanence. When the sensation becomes very painful, you will like this painful sensation to go away. The painful sensation go away or not, it depends on itself. We cannot control it. That is called anatta, soulless. So you will realize or understand this body, your mind and body is the law of impermanence, the law of suffering, the law of soullessness, anatta. That is wisdom, panya. So while you are mindful on the sensation, you are practicing sila, samadhi, panya. So the teaching of Buddha, we call it sasana. What is sasana? Sasana means teaching of Buddha. What is the teaching of Buddha? The teaching of Buddha is to stay with sila, samadhi, panya. The practice of fulfilling sila, samadhi, panya. So when you're mindful on the sensation, mindful on the touch, mindful on whatever you are doing, you are practicing sila, samadhi, panya. So you will be staying as what the Buddha taught. You are staying according to the sasana, to the teaching of the Buddha. That's why whatever you do, try to be mindful on the sensation. Whatever you do in all four positions, whatever you do, try to be mindful on the sensation. And when you mindful on the sensation, you will be practicing Vipassana. And when you're practicing Vipassana, you will be practicing the 4 Satipatthana. So when you are practicing full Satipatthana, this full Satipatthana is the one and only way to Nibbana. That's why may all yogi practice this Vipassana meditation with great mindfulness and realize Nibbana easily and quickly in this present life. Please say Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo If I have committed any evil physical deeds, large or small, any evil verbal deeds, large or small, any evil mental deeds, large or small, against the Lord Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, my parents, teachers, and all sentient beings, from the beginning of samsara up to the present moment, then I bow down and pray for forgiveness for having done even one small evil deed against any living being. Exalted Buddha, during the duration of this meditation session, I donate my 5 khandhas for the purpose of attaining Nibbana. Venerable Sunlun Gujang Searo, during the duration of this meditation session, I donate my 5 khandhas for the purpose of attaining Nibbana. May all beings who are subject to rebirth in the 31 states of samsara be happy. May all beings who are subject to rebirth in the 31 states of samsara be happy. May all beings who are subject to rebirth in the 31 states of samsara be happy. I share this merit with all the beings in the 31 states. Please share in my merit by calling sadhu. I wish to share in all meritorious deeds done by good beings. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Breathe with great mindfulness. Try to be mindful on every touch. Don't let your mind go out or think about it. Breathe strong, short, rapid breathing to get concentration quickly. Try to be mindful on every touch. Don't let your mind go out or think about it. Breathe with great mindfulness. Breathe strong, short, rapid breathing to get concentration quickly. Try to be mindful on the touch. Don't let your mind go out or think about it. Breathe with great mindfulness. Breathe with great mindfulness. Try to be mindful on every touch. Breathe with great mindfulness. Try to be mindful on every touch. Don't let your mind go out or think about it. To overcome sleepiness, breathe with great mindfulness. Try to be mindful on every touch. Breathe with great mindfulness. Breathe strongly for 50 or 60 times. You're going to stop breathing. Try to be mindful of every touch. Don't let your mind go out or think about it. Breathe with great mindfulness. Now you can stop breathing. Take a deep breath. Hold your breath. And with your mind watch the whole body. Just mindful on the sensation. Try and stay still. Don't move or don't change position. Just mindful on the sensation as it is. Try and stay still. Just mindful on the sensation as it is. Just mindful on the sensation. Okay, you can stop now.